What is energy? What's the force that animates all of this, spins this planet through the universe, helps all the plants grow? Well, there's solar energy and gravity. There's loads of different types of energy. But what science is discovering is that whereas before we historically only looked at things that mattered the most, which was the matter, what happened was that as they were discovering all this matter, Einstein came up with an equation, E equals mc squared, that basically says energy and matter are the same thing, just moving at different speeds. And when they started going into it, so they looked at planets, and they looked at people, small, and they looked into cells, and then molecules, and then atoms. And when they got to the bottom of all of that, using a microscope, going infinity, not outfinity, but in. When they looked at all that to its very core, there was virtually nothing there, except the greatest discovery that science has ever made. And that is source energy, the ether, the quantum field fluctuation. And it animates all of this. That energy that is invisible, that is permeating in the background, is the reason the planet's here, the mountains, me, you, everything. Every atom in our entire lives is animated by that energy source, like a kind of multi-dimensional energy that is just moving continuously, creating stuff. Every single one of our atoms, according to Nassim Haramein and the mystics and spiritualists and scientists, or some scientists, what they're saying is that in the centre of every galaxy there is a black hole. We have one. In the centre of every atom is also a black hole. And this energy force, this invisible energy, is connected to every other atom. So in my hand here, and if you consider that within that black hole, it's connected to the black hole on the top of that mountain, the black hole in the camera, the black hole in every single atom is connected. And that is the greatest scientific discovery they've probably ever made. Now, prior to that, science used to look at the world in a classical way. And in a classical way, what it does, it separates everything. It says, okay, well look, plants over here, rocks over there, planets there, bees here, and honey in the gift shop there. All separate, all different, like in a Victorian case, display cabinet. What the quantum scientists today have found is that everything, all of that and more, and all your emotions, your entire body, how you think, the school you go to, where you work, what you eat, what you think about your friends, what you do on Facebook, everything is connected. Because that underlying energy, that is in everything. Scientists are trying to get the thing called 0 point energy, which means that if they can plug into that, you'll never have an energy bill ever again. Because that energy is animating all of that. So what is energy? Well, it's inertia. In one sense, in a classical sense, it's inertia. It's the thing that gets you going. It's like, come on, let's go. We need some energy. Let's have energy. It's also emotions. It's also food. It's also how you think about life. So there's lots of ways of starting to understand how this background radiation, the ether, the force, the mind of God, source energy, it has many names. The Great Spirit is what I call it. Has many, many different names. But it's all the same thing. It's this underlying energy that is in everything. So the classical scientists were right, these things are separate. But the quantum scientists, the new way of thinking, not the old way of thinking, are saying, well, things aren't separate. Yes, they're separate within their species and various different heights and shapes and colours, but they're all driven. Everything is driven by that energy. And that energy is multiversal. The whole book is about understanding that, yes, we look at life materialistically, but we can also look at life energetically. Because if you look at life energetically and you understand how that works, and if you understand how it works in you, you're going to understand how it works in me. Science already knows a lot of this, and they use it for marketing ploys and to sell you stuff and to, But it doesn't have to be like that. Because if you're aware of how this energy behaves, you'll be aware how you behave, because it is animating you and me. So the book is about trying to understand how this energy can work, how you can use it. Because if it's flying in and out of little portals called black holes that are basically portals to another dimension. If you go through a black hole, the only thing that possibly might come out the other side of it intact would be your consciousness. Everything else is going to change. But within a smaller structure like an atom, the same thing can happen, that your consciousness can get through that portal to connect to everything else. And people who meditate, people who are involved in spiritual aspects of life, can do this. So how do we do it? How do we get to understand how this energy can work? Well, one of the most important ways that it actually does become energized is through intent. I know, it's properly bonkers. But if you have the intent to change your life from where it is now to where you want it to be, that intent, if you can vibrate at a frequency the same as this, incorporating what's going to happen in the future, then your intent can change it. It can affect that quantum field. And that is how energy can start to change your life. Because once you understand how this energy works, you'll realise that your perception of yourself was created by the same systems that created Victorian display cabinets. It's old, it's antiquated, it doesn't work. The modern world is that people now have become so consciously aware, they can't look back at a Victorian display case, at an old system and say, well, that works now, because it doesn't. And that's why you're seeing globally the judicial system, the financial system, the health system, the political system, the media system. In fact, anything that is historically created as a system is falling apart. It no longer works in the modern world as well as it did in the past world. And it was fantastic. It was a wonderful rung on our ladder to get humanity, to get you, get me, get our families, to get them to where we are now. But where we are now is we're energy aware. We're not material aware. Material aware is a lower frequency. Energy aware is a frequency that you can raise and lower to suit your needs. And that's what the book is about. It's about how does this energy change things. But the first thing you need to realise is that your perception of yourself may have been from a historical point of view, from people who would rather control your energy than allow you to control it yourself. And that, of course, is sometimes not very helpful. So, how are we going to do it? The crazy thing that they found out about energy is not only is it this generating force, this unbelievable, powerful, invisible force that animates and has created all of that and a whole lot more. The bit that really science is starting to understand, mathematicians are starting to work out, is that the energy, and this is the bit, is conscious. Yeah, get your head around that noodle. That means the planet that I'm standing on, that is made of that energy, is also conscious. People like Anna Breitenbach are animal communicators. They can talk to basically any species of animal because the animals also use the same conscious energy that we do. And if you can vibrate at the frequency of an animal, you can actually talk to it like Dr. Dolittle. The woman's doing it. Planets, plants. Cleve Baxter, a CIA interrogator, found out that you could use the lie detector, put it on a plant, ask it some very serious questions like, do you want to be tortured? And the plant would respond as if it was a human being. All this is a bit crazy, I know, but the science is there to prove it. But it's how do you think about it when you're running in your daily lives or running for a bus or trying to pay a bill? It's unbelievable that this, and I truly mean unbelievable. I mean, it took me so long for the information to sink in, that the energy that we use for all of this to run our lives is conscious. Because in the same way as I said in the last video, we're throwing a thought out on getting magnetic emotions to come back, exactly the same thing is happening in the universe. The universe is doing exactly the same thing. We are holographic representations of the big picture. It is also doing the same thing. It's electrical thoughts and bringing magnetic emotions back. The reason it's doing that is because as the universe is evolving, it needs to know what it's got to do, what it wants to do, what it can achieve. In the same way that we do, we go through our lives trying to find a way through it and navigate through the evolution of mankind. The planet is doing the same thing. The universe is doing the same thing. Everything is doing the same thing. It's all trying to evolve. And the one frequency, and this is the most beautiful bit that I found hold of it, the one frequency that binds all that energy, binds the planet, binds the universe and the quantum field and the Great Spirit, binds you, binds me. The one thing that can run on harmoniously to give it its greatest effect and energy is love. The frequency of love and compassion, joy, is the frequency that everybody wants to live on. And why is that? It's not a random act. The reason is because that frequency is the background radiation. That is what this frissons is trying to tell us, is that love connects everything and it conquers all. And that's the bit we need to really get our heads around. Love conquers all. In all dimensions. Not just this three-dimensional world and the fourth dimension of time. In all the dimensions. And I find that absolutely beautiful. And I hope you do too. And the whole of the book about what is energy, it is about how do you love yourself? Because if you can love yourself using energy awareness, you can love all the rest of it. And you'll understand it as well, because you'll understand how it works in you, empirically. So that's what energy is. It's animation that creates all of life. It's conscious, and it's trying to tell us love conquers all and connects everything as well. So that's that part of the book. Let's move on to the next bit.